Okay, so our very first lesson of the day is going to be, or of the school year, is going to be lesson 1-1, and we're going to be learning about variables. So I'll make it a little bit bigger so everyone can see it. So this is actually just a screenshot of the textbook. You do have your Canvas login now, so you'll be able to access this. A variable is just a symbol that's used to represent one or more numbers. When you have a variable expression, you're going to have a letter in it. So for example, an example of a variable expression could be 4x, or it could be x plus 2. This is an example of a variable expression. It has a letter in it. Now, when your expression has only numbers, that's called a numerical expression. So here is numerical expression. And a numerical expression could be 2 plus 4. Now notice there's no equal sign here, but we could simplify that. And we all know that 2 plus 4 equals 6. Okay? So this is just identifying the difference between a variable expression and a numerical expression. Okay, so now again, here are some examples of variable expressions. Now, what we're going to see in algebra, back probably in middle school and maybe in elementary, you used to see the x as a time sign or a multiplication sign. We're no longer going to use that x to represent multiplication. We're going to represent multiplication. If it's a number and a letter, we're going to write it side by side, like 19n. Okay? You can also write two letters next to each other, and you're going to know that the understood operation there is multiplication. So again, when we're seeing the x's now, those are going to be variables. Now, you might also see multiplication represented with parentheses. Okay, so if it asks you to find the value of an expression, like before when I did the 4 plus 2, I knew the value of that expression was 6. Over here, the value of this expression, 4 times 2, and I get 8. So now we're going to try an example. Get bigger here. So when they ask you to simplify an expression, we're going to follow order of operations. We're going to always do the grouping symbols first. And grouping symbols are usually represented with parentheses or brackets. You can also consider a fraction as a grouping symbol. So on our first example, everyone try part A. You could write that down. And what is the first thing I'm going to evaluate here? Which part of it?
42 divided by 6 because they're in parentheses.
Perfect. And what's 42 divided by 6? Anybody know? 7. So what I'll do is, I like to do this step by step. I'll do 42 divided by 7 and divided by 6 and get 7. Then I'm going to drop down the rest of my problem. And then I know that 7 plus 8 is 15. Okay. On example B, so this is evaluating the expression. So when I'm asked to evaluate it, I need to find the value of the expression. Okay, so sometimes it'll also say simplify. So if it says simplify and you only have numbers, essentially we're evaluating here. Okay, so for part B, what am I going to do first? Yes. Good. And what do you get when you do 8 minus 2? Beautiful. So I'm going to evaluate the parentheses, and I get 6. And now I have to do the division. 54 divided by 6 is 9. Perfect. And that's how we evaluate that. So this first lesson is going to be pretty basic. It's not going to have a whole lot of order of operations. We're going to see that in tomorrow's lesson. Okay, let's look at example 2. Again, they're still asking us to evaluate. However, this time in our instructions, they're giving us the value of A. So I'm now going to take my first example, part A here, 7 times A. Remember, side by side, a number next to a letter, that means to multiply. So 7 times A, and when I replace A with the 5, and I'm going to put it in parentheses, okay, because if I put it like this, I might think the number is 75. So remember, 7 next to a letter, that means multiply. So to clarify it, I'm going to put parentheses around it to know I'm multiplying and know that it doesn't make the number become 75. So 7 times 5 is 35. So I just evaluated that expression. Now we're going to try the next one, part B. Again, I'm going to take out the letter A. I'm going to put it in a parenthesis so I know that I'm multiplying. And then I'm going to rewrite everything. So now I'm going to do the multiplication first. 3 times 5 is, and then I'll drop down my plus 2, and 15 plus 2 is 17. The next one. Yes, absolutely, yes. Replacing each variable by given value and then evaluating it, again, we're finding the value of the expression. So we already just did this one, it's just duplicated. Now I'm going to do example 3. This one's a little bit more complicated. We've got 2 letters to replace. So whenever I do this, I always like to write my original problem, but I'm just going to write it right underneath. So I'm going to replace X, and in its place, I'm going to put the number 12. Then I'm going to take out the Y, and I'm going to put in the number 9. God bless you. All right, so now I'm going to do 5 times 12. And again, I'm going to put it in a parenthesis like that. And then minus, and then 3 plus 9. So now I'm going to work out what's in both of my parentheses. Anybody know what 5 times 12 is? 60. Good. Now I'm going to rewrite the minus sign. And then 3 plus 9? 12. And now I have to do 60 minus 12? And 48. I've just evaluated that example. And again, we're going to, whenever we have parentheses, we must simplify what's in the parentheses first. And again, sometimes with multiplication, you might also see it written with a dot. So we could have also done that. So we could also put 5.12 instead of this 5 parenthesis, because I could put brackets also. So this expression part of it could be written with brackets. You could have also put a dot to represent multiplication. So just remember, when you're replacing or substituting for the variable, remember, it's not becoming 512, it means 5 times 12. Okay, let's try some of these examples here. All right, so for numbers 1 through 7, it's asking me to state if it's true or false. Okay, so when I do number 1, 6 times 3 equals 3 times 6. Is that true or false? True. It's true. Because remember, the order that you multiply numbers, I'm still going to get 18 either side of that. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's look at number 2. Is that true or false? True. It's true. Anything times 0 is 0, so that one is also true. Let's look at number 3. Now, have you guys seen that symbol before, the equal sign with the slash? Yes. Okay, that means not equal to. So is that one true? What's 8 divided by 1? 8. Okay. But what about 1 divided by 8? Is that the same thing? No. Good. So this one is also true because essentially what this one is 1/8. Okay. Number 6. Let's try to work that one out. What is 14 minus 3?
11.
Okay, then I'm going to do minus 1. And then what's 11 minus 1?
10.
Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to do 14 minus, and what's 3 minus 1?
2.
Okay, what's 14 minus 2?
12.
Is that true?
No.
No. So that one's not equal. So the way it's written, it was false. All right, that's just, so that one is false because this is not equal to each other. Let's try the next one. What's 8 minus 2?
6.
Okay, so I'm going to do 6 over 2. And then now remember when you have a fraction like that, it means division. So what's 6 divided by 2? 3. Okay, and then the other side of the equal sign, what's 8 minus 1?
7.
Is that true? Nope, so that one's false. Okay, now we're going to actually evaluate these. Let's try a couple. Okay, what am I going to do first on number 9? Parenthesis. 5 times 4 is?
20.
And then I'm going to write the 9 plus, and then I'm going to add it. Good so far? All right. Let's try this one. 22 minus 7. And then 15 divided by 5?
3.
Perfect. All right. This one. What am I going to do first? Good. And what's 4 times 4?
16.
Perfect. And then what's 18 minus 16? 2. Nice. All right, let's try and plug in some variables here. All right, so I'm going to evaluate, and I'm going to replace each one of those letters. Sometimes it'll be an A, sometimes a B, sometimes a C. So on number 15, the problem is 7B. So I'm going to take out the letter B. I'm going to replace it with the 2. And again, remember, we're multiplying here because it's side by side. And 7 times 2 is? Perfect. All right, let's do the one right below. I'll do number 19. So again, I'm going to put a 2 there for the letter B. And then this is division. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Number 20. This time we're using the letter C. And C is a 3. So 5, and then I'm going to do times 3 minus 4. What's 5 times 3? And then minus 4?
11.
Perfect. You guys getting the hang of this? All right, let me try one more. And let's do 25. So we're going to replace A with a 1. I'm going to replace B with a 2. And then I'm going to show divide by 3. 1 plus 2 is?
3.
And then divide by 3 is? 1. So this is your lesson for today. You have the 36 problems, and everybody took a picture of it. However, when you actually get Wi-Fi or internet access, you should be able to access the book. What I recommend you do is once you get access to the book,